radio.
Yes, it is. Hi, how are you?
I am so excited. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, let me get set up here. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
I had a hard time calling. I just dialed your number 2 or 3 times here, but I guess the phone here kind of messed up a bit. But
Okay,
no matter what,
can you
we
hear
got
me?
you on the line. Pardon?
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, great.
We're all coming together because we see what's going on here. We see what's going on. It's going on over our heads, and we understand why it's keeping other people away because of the distractions that are going on with the media and all sorts of things, and people that have been affecting you. I mean, don't you have you're the most prominent person I know that has people trying to mess with your message, and it's so obvious to me and to a lot of us now who's working on our side, who is working against us.
Right.
So it's easy to call them out, and I think anyone now that comes out and says, "Oh, whatever you guys are talking about, that's just whatever," they now look very, very obvious.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, absolutely.
Well, then you also have the ones that are not so obvious. You have the controlled opposition shills that have definitely infiltrated our movement. It's okay. It's going to happen. I mean, any type of movement you have that's getting, massive awareness or a massive awakening is going to be trolled. It's going to be shilled. Obviously, they don't want us to use their technology to expose them. So Facebook is in on it, and Google, and it's CIA run. I mean, it's an uphill battle. That's all I can say. But just get your boots on and, stand in the front lines of this. If you don't, and you know about this agenda, who are you really helping? I mean, are you going to defend your family? Are you going to defend your own life? You should really just defend the next generation of people that can't defend themselves because they're so brainwashed.
Absolutely right. That's a perfect point. I'm very glad, because this is real passion you're hearing, folks. This is not a pre-scripted show. This is about talking about what is going on around us, and this is something that should be not just another program to you. This should be a wake-up call that we are using the technology, and I'm glad you made that point, because I had been offered this spot to broadcast. So, there are good people on our side, and there are people on the inside that do like to cause headaches and disruptions. But again, it's getting more and more obvious, and I can thank that finally, because it must be crazy for you. I mean, how long has it been? I wanted to ask you, how did you first find out about chemtrails and the annihilation of our planet to begin? How did you first find out about that?
It actually happened like the opposite way of how it would usually happen with someone. Usually someone would hear about it on the internet and then notice the sky, or someone would tell them about it and then they would notice. But with me, it was in 2005. I was a big UFO enthusiast. I was all about extraterrestrials and outer space, so I was always looking at the sky. And one day I saw, a bunch of planes making the tic-tac-toe grid, and I delusionally thought it was aliens. I thought they were marking some type of thing. That's all I could explain it away as, because I had never seen anything like it before. And so I started calling environmental agencies in the yellow pages. This is before I was hip to the DEQ, EPA, that type of thing. So I just went in the phone book and just started calling different atmospheric scientists and, engineers and different, weather people, trying to figure out what it was. I could not get any answer that made any sense to me, and many of the responses were very suspicious. So then I wasn't even a conspiracy theorist. Yes, I was a UFO enthusiast, but I wasn't a conspiracy theorist, quote unquote. I don't even want to use that term, but with the stigma of it, I didn't know about false flags at that point. I still was under the impression that 9/11 was done by terrorists. Okay, so you see where I was at. Then I ended up contacting the EPA. And when I discovered, what a fraudulent agency the EPA was, and what a horrible runaround they were doing, and how inept and irresponsible they were to just disregard my claims, never give me a straight answer, always pass me off to another agency, I realized, wow, that there's something to this. Started just really documenting the sky, and then you're into full-blown chemtrails. After 2005 here, it's been chemtrails ever since. So,
right. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing that's happened up here. Exactly the same thing. So, and that's where it gets really that's the same thing here. So, because I want to go at a little bit at a time here, so we can kind of gradually work through this. That happened here too. I woke up to them in 2006. I went on a long bike trip around then, up along the lakes, up along Lake Superior, and I didn't notice anything like that. But when I came, and I figured it was when I got back, I started seeing a line just going from one. This is 2006, Southern Ontario, in like Waterloo area, Cambridge, Ontario, and I see one line just going right through the sky. Just one. You didn't even see the beginning or the end of it. You just saw one going from one horizon all the way to the end. And I thought, well, that's weird. And so, yeah, then what made me want to actually call environmental agency was when I first saw the first trail shut off and then turn back on again. And I thought, wow, they're being really, really discreet about this. And so I thought, they're really trying to hide it now. They're trying to, and so it really freaked me out. So, yeah, I went to, our local departments, and they said, well, go to the MOE, which is Ministry of Environment Canada, and go to the Environment Canada, which would be the comparison of the Environmental Protection Agency in the United States, which you had confronted. That video that you have confronted the EPA on is available on YouTube as well. I don't know the title of it. Did you give the title of that? Do you know?
Which one?
The one where you...
the EPA hearing? Yeah, it's called EPA Chemtrail Witness.
Okay, great. Because I want people to go to that, just get a feel for Amanda's work. But it's not just about work, it's about waking up and our heart knowing that something's going on. And then you expect to have other people, like we probably both lost a lot of friends and family members, not because, because we lost them forever, but it's really challenged a lot of ideologies, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but you don't really lose friends. You just find out who the real ones are. And your family members are always going to be your family members, whether they agree with you or not. And I have known a lot of my friends whose families have been shattered by this agenda. And that is part of the agenda as well. They want to break apart the family.
Right. And you've been through so much with, people hitting you and trying to stop you from doing things, shutting down your site, acting like you, putting out other sites that are mimicking you, impersonating you.
Right.
It's sickening how far they go to stop this. And I just find it really amazing that they're going ahead with it, even though at the Climate Summit last year, we all know there was no binding agreement.
Right, but they're writing all these laws, behind our backs.
I know.
They're getting, the whole geoengineering movement as a whole, the whole geoengineering term, I'm jaded at this point because, we are assuming that it is geoengineering. For all we know, they could be dumping toxic waste on us. That's how they could be getting rid of toxic waste. They could be doing any nefarious thing. I'm sold on the depopulation agenda because they're poisoning our food and water as well. But, yes, geoengineering is real, but if we just claim that every line in the sky is geoengineering, we're doing a disservice to the fact that we do not know what they are spraying. We need to know. The government needs to come forward and stop saying they're contrails, okay? That is all washed out. It's not water vapor. We know this, So it's just ridiculous. They insult our intelligence on a daily basis, and they try to demonize anyone with a thinking mind that questions, the status quo, and they definitely demonize activists. I've had the FBI at my house targeting me as a domestic terrorist, a suspected domestic terrorist, simply for trying to get a FOIA request on some antennas in a public place. That I was worried about all the people getting irradiated by these, microwave antennas, and who knows what the towers are actually for.
Right. On my way here, I'm glad you brought that up. The perfect points. Thank you. I'm really, really glad you brought those up. On my way here, in the beginning when they were first starting to get a cell phone tower here in Cambridge, I had, looked into when this is a weapon system, but it also said that it had to be 2.2 kilometers or miles away from populated area, but it would affect every bit of habitant in between the tower and the 2.2 miles or whatever it is. So no matter what, it's not good to have in there. But on my way here, I noticed there's I could see a cell phone tower from a part on the highway, literally situated exactly, which looked to be not even half a kilometer away from each other. And it just seems to be so obvious that when we have satellites that were already giving us our communication to a great speed, then we have all these other systems coming in, and with the smart meters. the cell towers. These are all things that no one asked for. We didn't vote for this. We didn't want it. We didn't even think of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's all pushed down our throats.
Across the street from my house, there's an array of 7 death towers. They are, who knows what they're for. I've tried to get information on those. The FBI told me it was none of my business, that the military can do whatever they want. There's also 3 death towers in a government little park for children right over top of the basketball court next to the playground. I asked the FBI about those as well. They said that, again, those are military towers. Can someone please explain to me, why would military towers be over top of a basketball court in a children's park that's owned by the government? Why? Why wouldn't you have it on your own property that's right next door? Why would you put it right over top of the basketball court when there is a ginormous field right there? Put it a few feet away. You know, it's disgusting. Okay, if you want to get unconspiratory, we will say that, yeah, they're not death towers. They're just cell phone towers. Okay, well, they catch on fire and they topple over. They're overloaded with operator equipment. I interviewed a whistleblower, a death tower whistleblower, and he explained the entire operation to us. The FCC results for radiation are dummied up. The people that work on the towers are not skilled enough with enough knowledge to know exactly what they're doing because they don't have enough workers in this field for the amount of towers that are going up. The FCC, certain amount of towers, I'm not going to misquote, I can't remember exactly what the footage is, but if it's under a certain amount of feet, they don't even have to be registered by the FCC. Yeah, so they've got all these little loopholes so they can make their money and harm us, spy on us, mind control us, irradiate us. None of it's good.
Right, and it's funny you mentioned that about the towers being so close to schools. There's a Ryerson Public School in Preston, Ontario, where just recently they had put up a cell phone tower right about 75 feet away from a portable that's about, another 50 feet away from the school. And there's nothing else around that area except for just a few, industrial buildings that have nothing to do with it. It just seems to be like not seems to be, it's obvious to us that they're ramping this up. And I want to know because now NASA has been, okay, this is one thing I want to get to. NASA last year, I saw a poster that they had put out. It was a poster that showed about 6 or 7 of their latest, or their technologies they've used through time. And they were UAVs. They were aerial vehicles that they were using. And the last one at the bottom, which blew my mind, I just couldn't believe that they would actually put this on the poster if they were trying to be discreet about their operations. There was, at the bottom of the poster, had an orb, just a round circle with 2 exhaust lines coming from it. So, I thought, wow, we catch those on camera all the time. We catch them, like they're using holographic technology too. There's times I go and I go to take a shot of the chemtrail, the jet, and the jet's not even there. And then I go to invert it in a photo program, and I invert it, which makes it like the negative image. And you should be able to see an object in there, but you don't. And sometimes you'll see a little orb. But I thought to myself, if NASA answers to the Navy, and NASA's putting out these posters with a bottom orb putting out 2 exhaust lines from it, which looks just like a chemtrail from an orb, I find it really revealing. It's happening so quick, and I want it to blow up in their face so bad. And I'm pretty sure you're in the same boat.
Right, yeah, not a straight answer, NASA. But you are right. One of the points you made that I want to highlight is that the military is aware of every flight that goes overhead, all right? So for the military to not help us, they are guilty of omission. The military has to come forward when we as civilians, citizens, the people of this country, come forward to them with a suspicion of a crime in progress, okay? We suspect a crime is in progress. We have footage of the suspected crime. We are trying to report this to them. Why is it the military will not help us in any way? I mean, I've gone through all of the legal steps that you were supposed to go through with the military. I got as high up as you can possibly go for this area, which is the head of the Environment Department, Terry Chamberlain, and I just hit a brick wall. And I mean, no help from government agencies. But I think the worst thing for us to do is say, oh, I give up. I've been defeated. That is not in my mindset. I am going to persevere and continue to call them and continue to follow up with my numerous filed claims of chemtrail pollution, airplane pollution.
Right. Yeah. No. I'm just keep going. We have to. We have no other choice. This is the whole thing. Is that every second wasted on anything else is working against us when it comes to chemtrail spraying. It is a weaponized system. The very first thing I read, I think, when it came to it was the House Resolution Bill 2977. When you first go and see that subcategory of exotic weapon systems listed as chemtrails, then you find out that it's taken out the next year out of the document. Then you kind of know that they're hiding this.
I didn't know it was taken out.
Pardon?
I didn't know it was taken out.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like this, apparently there was another copy that was done, and the weaponized exotic systems that listed frequencies, listed heat weapons, microwave transmission, all sorts of stuff in there. And apparently that was taken out.
Wow.
So,
well, it's too late. We've already all seen it. We already all know.
Pardon?
I said it's too late if they took it out because we've already all seen that and we already all know. And there's a million clips on YouTube of it. I mean, you can find it anywhere. Just Google it.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and it's absolutely and there is a brick wall going on here that a lot of people in administration are literally afraid of. That's for sure in my town. They literally put an arrest warrant up for me if I even show up. Like, we're not abusive. We're just going and asking questions. And now I'm not allowed to even go to the city hall because they know it's just too much pressure on them.
You sound like Chris Dorsey. One of my friends here, he's always getting in trouble at the city council meetings just for being there, existing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even. And my mayor, I actually ran into him. It was funny. They put a theater here called the Dunfield Theater, and again, this was just a corporate kind of decision. And it seems nice to have a theater in the town and stuff. And he was kind of pushed in, so we thought, oh wow, the mayor really wants to have a theater here. That's interesting. But then I found out from one of the owners, like just for doing what kind of work we do, you probably have this happen where you get trusted respect from other people around. And so I had some inside information given to me about some plans that were made for an underground bunker underneath this Dunfield Theater. And it was for the elite of Cambridge. So it was kind of interesting. Yeah, I just want to throw it in there because I ran into my mayor just across the road from his Dunfield Theater underground bunker that he thinks no one knows about.
Wow.
But he was in my side of town, and so if I'm not allowed to speak to him because I got this order of arrest if I come there, I made it very clear to him that he was now in a ball game that meant that you know this information. I've been giving it to you since 2007. Gave you video information in 2010. So now you're actually accountable and literally an accessory to a massive crime against humanity. You're someone that's now that has death on your shoulders, and I told him that. And so I don't know what to say, but you can't just keep me from coming to City Hall to warn the public about aluminum buildup in their body and all sorts of other stuff. That you're right. We don't know what's in the spray. And I know that after some cold downpours, people are sneezing the next day. People are getting this really weird, irritable nose sneezing. And all the people that avoid that because they know it's spraying, they don't really suffer from that because they're knowing how to get rid of the aluminum or to stay out of those days. When you have poor people, they're on the beach, soaking up in these rays, and they're literally microwaving people.
Right.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And that's why a lot of people are having a hard time. But I think that the cowards and the people that you really find out who has a heart and who really is kind of afraid to take on things, get in the front line to come ahead and say, look, like, if we can read these documents, and then we also see it playing out around us, the media must be pretty strong holding that away from all of us. Holy moly. And it's just getting to be a part now where it's getting too obvious that it's happening. So I really feel that there is something that's breaking through. There's something going on. I'm hoping. Because I called, if I may, last week on the show, we called Environment Canada, and we called the Ministry of Environment. And Environment Canada said the same thing. They say, oh, well, we don't know what a contrail is, but we know what no, we don't know what a chemtrail is, but we can tell you what a contrail is. And so I said, okay, you guys said that 7 or 8, 9, 10 years ago almost. So, I just find it really embarrassing that you guys are still, like, pretending that nothing's going on. And then she just, I get the same runaround. But when I went to the Ministry of Environment, because the Environment Canada gave me the same thing, they gave me the number for them, they give you the runaround, you're very familiar with that. And when I called MOE for the first time on air, it was even on air, I was so happy this happened. For the first time in the history of me even talking to anybody in the environmental departments, I finally got somebody that was dumbfounded, that just actually agreed with everything I had to say, and felt like, wow, like this was a person that worked for the MOE, that knew that it was happening, and pretty much agreed that it was happening, didn't deny it. I thought, wow, this is great, just like one small thing like that made me so happy, but I pretty much gave her an ultimatum right on the radio, that this is it. I mean, you can either be here for the goodness of everybody, or you're working to hurt everybody. We have to understand this, that if you don't know about this, it's our duty to wake people up about it. And you have been relentless and amazing. I mean, I've been surprised that there haven't been people relentlessly going at this and having the same heart of seriousness with this. I find it really frustrating. I've had conversations with a few other prominent people in this area about the same thing, and we're all in the same boat.
Right,
I find
absolutely.
it really strange. Why are we the only one?
Yeah, what I think is, we have spent the past, let's say, decade building a community of well-researched, intelligent, hard-working activists. We have a community here. We need to, all those people that are in this community need to come together, and we need to do one thing, one big thing. We all need to go to the White House, or we all need to we need to do something. So we need to put our minds together. There's such a divide and conquer aspect to the chemtrail movement that's disheartening. And I mean, it's understandable because it is a touchy subject, and there's many different opinions, all different kinds of research coming in faster than you can even read it. And so, is it geoengineering? Is it depopulation? Is it just a coal ash, and all these other theories that are going around the internet? It's hard to say what it is, but I think the people that have been in this the longest, now is the time to band together more than ever. I mean, we are running out of time, and I don't want to send a negative message on your show, but I also don't want to be passive about the message that I send, because it's important that we realize we are running out of time. So those of us that are aware and willing to fight on the front lines of this battle need to just stand up and fight. Whether there's a few of us or a lot of us, we need leadership too. I want to, encourage everybody out there that knows about chemtrails to pull a leadership position in this movement. There's plenty of room. We all support anybody that's fighting this cause. If you are a genuine activist in chemtrails and geoengineering, you will have support immediately.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the exciting part. If you are someone getting into it now, you have that. If you're someone that just woke up to this 10 years ago, you wouldn't have had that. You'd have to grow that into it. And it's true. We need to come together more than any other time because time is running out. It's a big reason why I'm not having a break in this segment. I usually have a break right now, a little musical break, but it's not going to happen. This having you on here is I want this real passion to portray, and it is. This is fabulous what's been said already. We have some people that are as stonewalled as we are, and maybe even more. I have a fellow, Scott Pullen, a friend I met at a chemtrail, whatever you want to call it, where we get together and talk about it and try to find out things. I was in Brantford one time and I met this fellow. He's a Canadian Air Force second lieutenant. He's a veteran. He was just in the Canadian Air Force 2 years ago, and he was at the conference because he wanted to tell his story. He is going to be coming on air on the 29th here to let everyone know that the Canadian Air Force, his leading general, or whatever his rank is, had told him to not speak or discuss anything about geoengineering or chemtrails to the public. So he left. He was a good man, and he left the force, and now he's been going intensely at exposing, chemtrail spraying in the atmosphere. So, then he had to leave. So you can just imagine, if you're someone that's supposed to be defending your country in the Canadian Air Force, the United States Air Force, and you get told something like that, that is a good show to see why there's such a big stonewall. But I want to look at almost like I have a kind of almost like an overall reasoning. I'm with you on the depopulation thing. I'm totally with you on that because it goes with Bill Gates' agenda, with him even talking about, we need to depopulate the planet or make that even bring down the population by 15 or 10%, like using vaccines and stuff. Well, they're going to spray it in the atmosphere now. You don't know what they're spraying. A good book to read is Lab 257. If anyone's not read that book, there's a lot of information in that book about H1N1, about AIDS, and even Lyme's disease. And all of these have been, dispersal projects. So they come from Plum Island, and and they're seeing that they're using the jet stream manipulation. They can really see that these have been started at Plum Island, and they've been, airborne and gone to other areas. But then they were spraying the atmosphere too, all over the place in Vietnam and Woodstock. I mean, all these spraying operations going on. It's just seeming to be where if you got, maybe I'm going on too much here, but I'm trying to get to the point. I feel that ever since Israel it seemed to be they wanted to have organic food capability, or the ones to grow organic food, but that was kind of a mix with Monsanto and the aluminum resistance seed. And then you got Russia saying that they're going to be the organic food growers, and they're against GMOs, and they're against the chemtrail spraying and stuff. What do you feel on that? Like, do you have anything to say about that?
No, I'm sorry, I really don't. I mean, obviously poison should be labeled. It's ridiculous that Obama is trying to pass this thing where now, states that would be forced to label GMOs, that's going to be taken back. The fact that we even have to question what poison is in our food is absurd. So, I mean, any country that's saying their food is going to be organic, that's what they should be doing. Organic is what our grandparents ate.
Right. And that's the thing that I find, like, if they're going to grow food in the Middle East, they have to modify the weather. They have to do a full system scale to get, in the children's books and the environmental books, they say, wouldn't it be great to have Egypt filled with green grass? And so at the same time, you're getting all this massive jet stream manipulation.
Yeah.
Wow,
our food is being chemtrailed anyways. Even if it's not a GMO, it's still being chemtrailed or processed in some funky way or packaged with some type of poison package. All the plastics and stuff like that. So they get you whatever way is the cheapest way for them to make something, package it, and make a profit is what they're going to do. And they're targeting the poor people. I've said that on many different shows that, the people that can afford organic food, they're still getting chemtrail organic food, but it's better than the GMOs. But most people can't afford that. So they're just wiping out the poor, sick, elderly, kids and stuff like that first.
Right. Yeah. And, I want to touch upon, too, anyone that's listening to this program, what we're talking about is the aerial dispersal of nanoparticulates. First in military documents, in scientific military documents, was called chemtrails. Now, there's a lot of, like I want to say, what you're saying with the United States and with Obama and them coming up, just the environmental sides now with Canada, right this month is nuts up here, okay? Because this last month, they've been really pushing hard to get us to believe that it's our cars and our choices that we make that's causing climate change. And even changed the name from Environment Canada to Environment Canada and Climate Change.
Oh, gross.
It's sickening. That's what I mean. It's getting sickening. But they're pushing it so fast up here that it's looking really obvious. And I'm so hoping it blows right up in their face, because there's so many people that know darn right that we're not going to be able to bend backwards and take a carbon taxation based on a total fraud in the first place. And we're being invaded. We're being targeted, and we're being microwaved slowly, and our frequencies are being altered, and our sickness is developing. We got spikes all over the board with neurological diseases and Alzheimer's and autism, and if you go into neurologic.
Yeah, you sound like me now.
Yeah, I'm going to not say this word anymore.
Neurology.
When you go and you speak to a doctor that deals with neurology.
A neurologist.
Neurologist, thank you. And I love to go into those offices because I just go right to the public and say, hey guys, there's a buildup of nano-aluminum particulate in your body. If you go and get a blood test, you'd be able to actually probably see that out, and that's probably what's causing your problem. And then when you tell that to the receptionist goes and talks to the neurologist, and then the neurologist comes out and tells you to leave. So, it is getting very, very obvious that there is an agenda going on here, and it's to profit the pharmaceutical agencies, is to put a huge, massive 70-year-old plan of Agenda 21 over our heads because they're due. Once you can fool around with heat in the ionosphere in the 50s, late 40s, you can make up a fake little global warming scam for everyone to fall into, but you got to make sure it goes over people's heads, and that's one thing it's not. So we're definitely doing some damage here, is waking up people, and I want to again thank you so much for being on this program.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. You have a great show. I love this platform. So it just streams live and then that's it?
Well, what it is, it's an FM station. So we stream locally here in Waterloo region. So anyone that's driving around and has 100.3 on their dial is listening in right now. And we're all worldwide online. And so this is really great that we can actually call anyone in North America, including Mexico too, for guests. So that it just makes it really exciting because this is kind of what we need. This came together. I was just I want to bring this up. Westminster Radio was the very first program that I knew of in Canada, or around this area, Southern Ontario and Ontario, that I knew of that even thought about having anybody on to talk about chemtrails. So Dijana Bostovic from that show, Westminster Radio, had asked me to come on about 4 or 5 times to talk about this. And then one day after one of the shows, I was offered a time slot to speak about this because they thought it was very important. So this is a good thing. We have those things coming together. But I just thought to myself, wow, this is incredible because I didn't go to school for broadcasting and like that. This is just because things are happening and the real hearts are coming out to warn the public, and we're like the messengers and negotiators, if you want to call it. So I was really glad that the system itself that does have the media, in its grip, is offering the platform because we know that this is a very serious situation that we're in.
Yeah.
And I want to say, you keep up the work, the amazing work you're doing. And I call it work because it's literally we're stopping, or this is what a lot of people don't really realize, even around me on my regular day and around you, is that we have literally stopped our lives. Really, we've really put a really slow, put the brakes on a lot of other things that we were doing in our lives when we woke up to this.
Yeah, I was having fun. That's what I was doing. I was having fun, hanging out with my friends, carefree. I didn't really have. I'd never been an activist or anything like that before.
Right. Yeah. This is amazing though, eh? And you find out something like, wow, they're really spraying us, guys. They're really spraying us here. Like, hello, wake up. Anyone else out there? Like, so. But I'm really glad that that we are waking up a little bit more. Another thing I wanted to throw in there too, which I'm really glad. I will be letting you go on with your day, and we will have you on again on another show. One thing I did want to bring up is that I've been going to the library a lot and checking out over the last couple of years, checking out what they've been feeding the kids with environment policy and stuff. And in the beginning, they would say that they bring up geoengineering, and that's why I think geoengineering is a very wrong term to use, because that's how they're sneaking this in to the public, is just by calling it geoengineering, by putting it in kids' books, saying that, well, geoengineering may be a solution, but now what I like now is what I'm seeing now. Okay, that was a couple years ago and last year. Now this year, I found very interesting, because in scholastic books, I think this one book actually mentioned a couple months ago that there's talk about it not being really a good idea, about geoengineering not being a really good idea. So, wow, okay, so, we're seeing a little bit of a curve of the, you can't manipulate anybody, if they're non-manipulable.
Right.
So when they're manipulable, you can manipulate them. That's like the police departments, the way they activate. The way anyone in administration activates is if you're manipulable, you can be manipulated and controlled. And that's one thing that my guest, Amanda Danielle, today, and myself and many others are not going to be controlled. We're going to be furthermoring our exposing of chemtrails and the dangers of cell phone towers until it gets fully exposed and the people accountable are held to justice. So I want to thank you, Amanda, for being on Covert Reality, and the best of everything to you, and hopefully we'll have you on the program again.
Thank you. I'm having my first debut primetime show Tuesday night on Truth Cat Radio. You can also find me on Madison Star Moon. 3 words. You had it wrong when you said 2. That's okay. It's actually 2 words in many different forms, but Madison Star Moon on YouTube, and then Amanda Danielle on Facebook. Thank you so much, Chad.
Hey, no problem. Thank you, Amanda. You keep doing your awesome work, and we'll talk to you again.
All righty. Bye.
Bye-bye.